Clemson, a 3.5-point favorite heading to Notre Dame. Let's go Pete, Bill, Rece.
So it's the DJ Uiagalelei Coda game, right? This is where he had his breakout in 2020 and where his recruiting hype was validated and what, sort of launched the narrative of his career to inevitable success. He has obviously had some failure in between, rebuilt. We've talked about him a bunch on the pod. Really respect the way he's handled adversity and grown from it. So it is kind of an interesting fitting moment here for him going back to South Bend, where he did lose that game in 2020. But to still, be here with the high stakes that he's earned Clemson, which, by the way, still has the longest winning streak in the country. We forget sometimes. That said, I got a feeling about Notre Dame in this game. They really, took it to Syracuse right from the opening pick six in that game and went through. They found an identity running the football. They're obviously very limited at quarterback. I think this is going to be a low-scoring game. I think it's going to be a close game, and I do think there's some Irish juju right now. Again, they'd be if they hadn't fallen on their face against Stanford, they'd be legitimately hot right now. They lost that game obviously 16-14, but I think they figured out how to best use the pieces they have. And I think Michael Mayer, especially, we talked a lot about Brock Bowers on the pods this week. Michael Mayer's had an outlandish season, especially because he's the only player they're really going to pass to on those pass plays. So I'm going to take the Irish and a little bit of juju here.
I've been leaning that way for a while, and I started to realize over time, I'm pretty sure it's just because I'm kind of anti-Clemson at the moment. That was solidified on Tuesday night. They have no business ranking fourth in my mind. They should have been about seventh in the playoff rankings. The whole ranked wins thing, because they have three teams that just squeezed into the rankings, that does nothing for me. Michigan should have been ahead of them. TCU had a case. So it's kind of poisoning my thoughts right now. But I think from a matchups perspective, they're still better than Notre Dame. The one thing Notre Dame's been able to figure out on offense, especially, is just how to nibble. They have no big play threats right now, or minimal big play threats, but they can figure out how to gain 4 yards pretty consistently on the ground and about 7 throwing to Mayer or one of the outside guys with the passing game. So that's worked. It worked against Syracuse eventually. I just don't see it working. If Clemson's really healthy on the defensive front now, they've been pretty underwhelming up front, but we know what they're capable of there. If they're finally healthy or close to it, I just don't see Notre Dame moving the ball. And that buys Uiagalelei, even if he continues to struggle a little bit. I think he's probably why they don't pose much of a threat in the playoff if they make it. But I figure he can do enough in this one. So I'm picking Clemson to cover.
I'm absolutely picking Clemson to cover, and I have some of the same questions that other people do, but I also feel like in many ways that I'm the outside of Clemson, South Carolina, I'm almost like the last man standing who kind of believes in them, at least their defense. I have plenty of questions about their offense. That's obvious, but I don't think the way Notre Dame is built, running the ball and throwing to Mayer, as good as he is, and as good as they are running, you're not doing that to Clemson. You're just not. How you're going to beat Clemson or have a chance to is Wake Forest. Yeah. Take a shot at their defensive backs. Like Tennessee, Ohio State would probably run Clemson out of the stadium. I mean, just to be honest about it. But Notre Dame won't. I mean, I think Clemson wins this game handily, not in blowout fashion, but handily. And they cover it. So I'm going with the Roy bus. Dabo, poor old Dabo, just on the rest of y'all bus, and see if they can somehow slop around, squeeze in, and get in the playoff where old Rece Davis and everybody else, nobody's giving us a chance. So we'll see.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN Plus.